What's up, Brawlers? This is Mr. Dean, and I want to talk to you about the newly announced Mayhem Brawler II, Best of Both Worlds. I've had the pleasure of playing the first alpha build, and while I can't show too much, I can give you a rundown of what I've played so far. Firstly, most of the graphics have been updated from 2D to 3D, while still retaining the 2D comic book look. The characters are still hand-drawn, and not only does the new art style look great, but the characters come with new and improved animations. Meanwhile, the backgrounds have evolved from 2D images to a full-scale 3D background. This is a great addition to the game as it breathes new life into the world of Mayhem City. Before we get into the gameplay, let's talk about the cast. If you've been following Hero Concepts' website and the project so far, then you are aware of the upcoming game's cast of 8 characters. That being Stellar, Mindbender, Apex Hunter, and a newly introduced Wishmaster, all representing the historic timeline of the game, alongside the newly elected Mayor She-Wolf, Enchantress, Voivoda, and Beastmaster, representing the present timeline. Being able to play as all the popular boss characters from the first game in their fresh new designs is already a good starting point for this game, but we'll have to temper our excitement for now as I've only currently gained access to She-Wolf and Stellar, who are still very early in progress. Getting into the gameplay this time around, you get 2 attacks, light and heavy, along with aerial wave attacks, special moves, and the grab button, which while inactive in the current build, will now service as your way of grabbing enemies. You can utilize all these mechanics in a combo system more freeform compared to the first game. Some combo strings will launch enemies in the air while others simply knock down. Eventually grapples will be added into the fold, and you know how I'm looking forward to that. You also have the defensive option to block in 2 different ways to run, with the run trigger and double tapping forward like the first game. The counter from the first game hasn't been featured in this build, but I'm certain it will return in the future, if not maybe other means of defense. While enemies in this game will spawn in the usual places, the set of enemies will vary each time you play a level, keeping the run fresh every time. This is also where the time travel element comes into play. Currently we're able to switch timelines with a new meter presented on the screen, but there seems to be other plans going forward with the feature. One including the boss fights, different phases, and another affecting overall story. In this build we start in the present with Mayor She-Wolf, with the option to transition back in time with Stellar. The timeline switch mechanic flows perfectly, no load times, resets, or pauses, just a complete warping of reality, changing the playable characters, enemies, and the entire level. Overall, I want to say this game has a lot of potential, following up on what we already enjoyed from the first game and expanding on that with new mechanics and refined combat. While the game is still in alpha, what's already here is a great starting point that will only get better as the devs continue to polish the game. You can wishlist Mayhem Brawler II on Steam and PSN, and if you want more info on the game, check the links down below. Be sure to like the video and subscribe, as we will keep you up to date on the game as development continues. This has been Mr. Dean, and I'll catch you guys later.
Beat 'em up to this. Beat 'em up, beat 'em up, beat 'em up to this. Beat 'em up to this. Beat 'em up to this.
Ready to start fighting?